Hey y'all, good morning and welcome to Sweet Pea Southern Home. My name is Christy and I am so happy that you are here today. I am getting ready for Thanksgiving, which is next week, and today we're going to make a pumpkin pie and we're going to freeze it. So that is one thing done and out of the way. So move you down, we're going to make the crust first. Okay. I have my food processor over here. Right here. So to the food processor, we're going to add 1 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. Tell me what your favorite dessert to make for Thanksgiving is. We split up the duties, so this is the only dessert I'm making. And although I enjoy making desserts, it is not my favorite thing to do. I don't know. I guess I just have to be in the mood for it. So there is my 1 1/4 cups of flour minus my bay leaf, which I keep in there to keep bugs out. 1 1/4 cups of flour, a tablespoon of sugar, let me put the lid on it. I'm just gonna pulse this just to start it, just to mix it up. There we go. All right, to that, we are adding cold butter. This is a 1/2 cup of cold butter. And I've just cut it into little cubes. It was in the freezer, but it's been out a few minutes. So just as long as it's cold, I don't seem to ever have any trouble. This pie is a little different. I have made this crust before, but not this pumpkin pie recipe. So it's a little different than what I normally make. Okay, and I have some ice water. So I'm gonna turn my food processor on. You could do this in a blender, you could do it by hand. I'm just about easy. I'm gonna pulse it until it looks like all the butter is in little pea sizes. You don't want to overdo it or you will have a dense and heavy dough. So let me show you if you can see what this looks like. I'm not sure if you can see, but like here's a piece of butter. It's about a pea size. Okay, now that I'm making a huge mess. All right, we're gonna add in 3 to 5 tablespoons of ice cold water. I'm gonna start with 3 because it's been pretty humid here and I might not need more than that. We just want this dough to come together. It's gonna still look pretty dry, but trust me, it will work. So there's our 3 tablespoons. We'll give that a mix and see if I need more. Yeah, I'm gonna need more. I can tell just by looking at it, I'm gonna need at least 2 more tablespoons, so I'm gonna go ahead and put those in. And we'll try again. Okay, that was perfect. My dough is just coming together. So we've got to let this dough rest for a little while. Let me make a little room and get me some plastic wrap. I'm gonna just take a piece of plastic wrap. I'm just gonna kind of make this into a flat circle so it's just easier to roll out. And I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator for about 20 minutes. So here's our dough. It's going in the refrigerator for about 20 minutes. While that's in the refrigerator, you don't even need to wash this. I'm gonna make I'm gonna go ahead and make the streusel topping for this pumpkin pie. So, and I didn't even let you know that this is a streusel pumpkin pie. So it has a streusel topping. I'm gonna go ahead and make this and put it in a Ziploc bag, so I'll tell you what's in it. We need a 1/2 cup of flour. We need 2 tablespoons of sugar. Okay, we need 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. I'm using dark brown, but you can, it doesn't matter. Just use what you have or what you prefer. So there's 1. 2. A 1/4 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. I'm not going to measure it. I'm going to just put, because I really rather a little extra cinnamon. 4 tablespoons of butter. And just put all of that into the food processor. Let's put the lid on it. And you can also add a 1/3 of a cup of chopped pecans if you want. Not a big fan of pecans in my baked goods or pies, or any nuts, so I'm gonna leave it out. We're gonna pulse this until it's in a Ziploc bag and put it in the freezer, and I'll explain why in a few minutes. I think I just rolled that whole pie crust out and did not press record. Oh my goodness. Well, that's aggravating. Okay. All I did was roll it out to fit your pie shell, your baking dish, and I just crimped the edges. As you can tell, it is not perfect. So I think the only important thing I said was have fun and don't worry about it being perfect. I have preheated my oven to 350, and we're going to mix up the filling. If you see me looking down, I'm just looking at my recipe. So we need a 1/4 of a cup of regular granulated sugar. My 1/4 cup is dirty, so we're just gonna eyeball it a little bit with a 1/3 of a cup. Okay. Gus, hush, sweet man. We need 1½ teaspoon of cornstarch. Okay, 1½ teaspoons of cornstarch. Let me see what goes in next. We need 4 ounces of cream cheese, which is a half a block, and it needs to be really, really soft because we're just mixing this with a whisk. Oh goodness. Okay. We're going to whisk these things together. Let me make sure that that is it. I need my brown sugar. I knew something was missing. So I need a half a cup of brown sugar. This is why I'm making this ahead of time. I love to eat desserts, but they're not my favorite thing to have to make. It's a lot of ingredients. It's fiddly. When I cook, I rarely measure things, but you have to measure desserts. Okay, we're gonna whisk this together. You could use the food processor, blender, whatever. I just didn't feel like it, so I'm just gonna whisk it. Cinnamon. This time I'm gonna be good, and I'm gonna measure it so that I don't overwhelm anybody. Teaspoon of cinnamon. Half a teaspoon of ginger. It called for 1/4 of a teaspoon. That's nothing. And here I go, not measuring again. All right, that was ginger. I put a half a teaspoon. I will... What is this? This is a 1/4. Just checking. I can't read my things anymore. They're all rubbed off, the measurements. Okay. 1/4 of a teaspoon of nutmeg and 1/8 of a teaspoon of cloves. Those go a long way. Oh, but it does smell like fall. Okay. We added in all of our spices. We need a teaspoon of vanilla. And lagniappe. We need 2 eggs and an egg yolk. Well, there we go. My girls are still laying for me, but it's still been pretty warm. They're starting to slow up a little bit. All right. That's 2 whole eggs and an egg yolk. I just use my hands for egg yolks. So let me go rinse them off. Sugar. A little salt. I was fixing to say I'm not using salt, but I am because I didn't use salt in the crust. The recipe has you using salt in the crust and in the streusel topping. I didn't because my butter is salted. But I'm just going to put a pinch in here. Brown sugar, eggs. Okay. 3/4 of a cup. It calls for heavy cream, or you can use half and half. I'm using evaporated milk because that's what I have. Denny and I don't drink that much milk, and I didn't want to open a whole pint. So I need 3/4 of a cup of milk of your choice. And then here's my pumpkin. If you go back and look, the kind of bumpy orange pumpkin that I had on my counter, I cut that up the other day. I roasted it in the oven, and this is how much it made. So I'm gonna use some in this pie today. I may make one more pumpkin dessert before Thanksgiving, but for right now, I'm just going to use some. So it calls for 15 ounces. That is, I'm going to use 2 cups. Spit it out, Christy. I know that the cans, so it calls for 15 ounces of a pumpkin that, pumpkin pie, not pumpkin pie filling. Good Lord, I'm going to get it together. Not pumpkin pie filling, but just canned pumpkin. You don't have to be obsessed with pumpkins like I am and cook your own. You can just buy the canned. All right, I'm just double checking. We have sugar, cornstarch, cream cheese, all of our spices, brown sugar, salt, eggs, pumpkin, vanilla, and our milk. So we just whisk this together until it's combined. We're gonna pour it into our pie shell, our unbaked. Now, the recipe has you baking just this, just your filling in your pie crust for 30 to 35 minutes. And then you take it out of the oven, you put your streusel topping on it. You may need to cover your edges of your pie crust if they're starting to get too brown. And then it has you bake an additional 25 to 30 minutes. Because I'm going to freeze this, I'm just gonna bake it the first half. So I'm gonna bake it for about 30 minutes and I'm gonna take it out of the oven, let it come to room temperature, just let it cool all the way. And then I'll show you what I'm doing. I'll show it to you when I take it out of the oven. But for right now, if that was too much information all at one time, right now all you need to know is this bakes for 30 to 35 minutes at 350. Okay, my timer just went off. It's been in the oven for 30 minutes. I'm gonna take it out and let it cool completely. So let's see what it's looking like. Yeah, it's still real jiggly in the middle. So just in case you happen to want to bake something like this ahead of time, I'm going to let this cool completely. I'm going to put a piece of parchment paper over the top of it and then wrap it in foil and freeze it. And then on Thanksgiving Day, I will take it out. I'll put the streusel topping on it. Well, before that, you should definitely let it thaw overnight in the refrigerator. Take it out the day before, let it thaw overnight in the refrigerator. I'm going to put the streusel topping on it and bake it for another 30 minutes or until a knife poked in the middle comes out clean. So it smells really good. This is the first time I've made this one. So after the holiday, I'll have to give you a review, but I can't imagine it not tasting good. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I think that I'm going to try to do a couple of like extra Thanksgiving food videos and post them before Thanksgiving Day. I'm trying to think ahead. So that if anybody wants to make a recipe, they can. This recipe will be linked in the description box below. And I hope you enjoy. Y'all have a blessed day and I'll see you next time. Bye.